Hey everyone, it's Lance from The Ride with Lance, and today we're going to take out the all-new Lectric Xpress 2 out for its maiden voyage. We're going to see how it does with all the improvements they made. One of the things is they made the motor a lot quieter. We've got these swept back bars. See how nice of a rider position it's going to give us. But let's just not talk about the specs. Let's take it for a ride like this. Sun Tour front suspension. Let's take this thing out for its maiden voyage and see how it does. Yeah, literally right off the bat, I do not hear the motor at all. That was one of the big complaints on the original Express, was the loud motor growl. And that thing was loud. I think that thing would have scared people coming up from behind them. This, I'm not hearing anything at all. Let's just do pedal or a throttle only. Put it in a turbo. And let's see what happens. Just a tiny bit. More wind through my ears than anything else. So, major improvement on that. Good job, Lectric. Let's back her down. I think I'm gonna ride in Tour. That would be PAS2. Actually, I'm gonna go to sport mode. Find my cruising gear, which feels like it's gonna be gear 6 in sport mode. This is an 8-speed trigger shifter Shimano system. And I've adjusted everything to be in a nice upright riding position. The bars, though, I'm going to have to talk about the bars in just a bit. But yeah, this thing is whisper quiet. Like I said, huge improvement over the first one. And this is also now sporting the Sun Tour forks up front. And up here, we'll go down the gravel road and see how they do on a little rough stuff. I mean, because on the pathway's smooth, so it's doing a good job, but there's not a lot of lumps and bumps on it. Let's go down the pathway here and see how it does on a little rougher stuff. It is doing good. You can see my hands doing a little shaking, but that's just vibration. Especially on these narrower tires with the street tread. Yeah, down the trail, when we get going back that way, I'll find a few more rougher patches and really test it. But right now, these front forks, the Sun Tour forks, are doing an excellent job. You know, I wish, or I hope, on the next iteration of the XP4, which will probably be XP5, I hope they put these on there. That would be a huge upgrade. Let's do a little throttle testing. Now this video is just not going to be all about specs. It's the rider experience. But let's put it in turbo mode. Let's just do throttle only. This is not to see how fast it'll accelerate. Let's just see how smooth it is accelerating, if there's any jerkiness. That was a nice takeoff. A very controlled takeoff. And it's building speed nicely. Nothing that feels out of control. Now I don't have this unlocked, so I'm riding it right out of the box. A lot of people probably won't unlock it because they don't feel the need to throttle to 28 miles an hour. But right now this is a typical class 2, but I believe it has modes in there. Has a California mode. I'll have to see if it has a class 1 mode, but I think it's got all 3 that you can switch it in the menu if you wanted to. Let's get back out here on the paved trail. Let's talk about these handlebars. This is kind of the elephant in the room for me. And I know some other reviewers have already commented about this. These swept back bars. Now, on a commuter cruiser like this, where you want to be in the upright position, swept back bars are great. It helps you get there. And it having this adjustable stem, I'm going to show you more about this stem because I really like this stem. But the handlebars, I think they're too swept back. If you can see my hands, look how far these come back. They're almost, well, not almost straight back, but they're really swept back. So if you look at my wrist when I'm holding these bars, it's more like that. And that's going to become a very uncomfortable position on a longer ride. Try a little uphill throttle in turbo mode. Yeah, it's accelerating. That's good. Nice. Like I said, very quiet motor. But back to the bars. I mean, they are really swept back. I think they've swept them back just, I'm just going to say it, way too much. I will be changing the bars out on this. I'd rather have a bar that is swept back but more like this. So it's coming out more like this and not this far. I'm going to show you an example. Take a look at this. I'll be back in the garage, right? All right, I'm back in the garage real quick and let me show you what I mean. Here's the Express. And here is a regular set of bars. These are usually the bars I put on my cruisers. You can see right there the difference. Now, I would not put these bars on this because we do want a swept back bar. But let me show you what I mean. This is like the way your wrist naturally wants to be. Now on the electric, it is more like this. And when you're hitting bumps and stuff, your wrist is being forced this way and it gets uncomfortable. Now, here's a set of bars that are swept back, but not as much, but you can see how the wrist it's not really doing this. It's just a little, but it's more forward. So all the force is coming straight at your wrist like this. And it is just much more comfortable. On these bars, let me get on the bike here. You can see how much my wrist is turned. And the other problem is when you start hitting bumps or you have to panic stop, all the force is going like this. Your hand is sliding forward into this, into that. You're gonna have to grip harder. That means there's more pressure on your wrist joint. And there's a lot more fatigue. And I think in some certain circumstances where if you just suddenly stop super hard and you're holding on, you could injure your wrist. So in this case, I do want to get a set of bars, but maybe swept back like this instead of like this. All right, let's get back to the ride now. But you can see what I mean. The other issue is these things are so swept back. The thumb throttle is in a very kind of awkward position. The shifter is in an awkward position. The gears, the number of the gears, so you can see, you are looking at them at a pretty good angle. And the control pad is a little further away than usual. So you kind of got to take your thumb and part of your hand off to get to the The blinker. Oh yeah, this does have blinkers. I'll show you that when I stop and we do a little overview of the bike. But yeah, I think getting some swept-back bars that aren't so swept-back are going to be nice, because you still have this adjustable stem to still bring that back towards you more. I don't have it up all the way where it's bringing it back as far as it can, so I have still more room for adjustment. But let's keep going. And I do have to confess another thing. Lectric seats, they kind of use the same seat in all bikes. And for me, they're just hard as a rock. So I went ahead for this ride and put my comfort seat on along with my Sun Tour suspension seat post. So right now I'm rocking Sun Tour in the back, Sun Tour in the front. And I can tell you, it makes a world of difference. So much more comfortable. I'll show you that too when we stop and I do an overview of the bike. But for right now, let's keep riding and just see how this thing cruises. Now let's talk about the finish quality. Now, Lectric is not the most expensive thing out there, but what you get for what they charge is just outstanding. They figure out how to use nicer components, not top of the line, but nicer components without gouging you on the price. I think that's one of the things that makes Lectric so popular and has such a following. Not only that, I know you hear this probably from everybody, every reviewer, and a lot of people who just ride Lectric a lot. The customer service really is second to none. Based in the US, so when you call, you're talking to somebody in the US, in Arizona, and I know I've said this before in some of my other reviews, but I've visited their headquarters and their customer service center. And they have all these bikes on the wall, taken apart. So when you call and you say you're having a problem with this part of the bike, that customer service rep can get up, go to the display on the wall of all the parts of this bike, and just kind of follow through with you to help you resolve the issue. I think that just in itself was cool. Seeing all those bikes in the parts. So you can go in there and say, hey, I'm having a part of this thing connects down this part of the bike, and he can just follow along with you and see what you're talking about visually instead of just trying to figure it out verbally. Yeah, like I said, it is so nice to have a bike where you're just sitting upright. You're not hunched over. There's no stress on your back. There's no stress on your arms. It just makes for such a relaxed ride, and it's just much more enjoyable. And I think Lectric has done an outstanding job with the Express, if that's the type of riding you're looking for. Oops, I think I'm riding through somebody's party. Uh-oh. Do a little off-road there. I think I rode into somebody's party there. All right, let's get up here past this gentleman, and we're going to do the zigzag and see if we feel anything weird in the frame and see how agile this bike is. You ready? I do feel just a bit of frame flex, but I could be wrong. It could be the suspension compressing and decompressing. Let me try that again and see if I can look down and see. Yeah, actually I think it is. I see every time I do the sharp turn, I see the suspension compress and then rebound. I think that's what I'm feeling. But it is a nimble. It is a nimble rider. Feels very secure on the ground. Not like the front end wants to push or slide out. Now, if I was doing that on, some gravelly stuff, yeah, you could probably bet I would probably go down, but this is not a trail bike. This is not a gravel bike. This is a street bike. All right, let's go up here. I'm going to find a picnic table to pull over by, and we're going to take a closer look and go over, do a little overview of the bike. Let you take a look at that. All right, there it is, the Lectric Xpress 2 with a torque sensor. Here's the battery, here's the motor. That's the M24 stealth motor. This is really stealth now. It is so quiet. Comes with a Altus derailleur with a 8-speed Shimano trigger shifter. And the brakes are Star Union on 180mm rotors front and rear. And they do a fantastic job stopping this bike. It does have a quick release through axle now. And these are the Suntour XCM32 front suspension. And as I told you, I kind of cheated on this ride and made it a more comfortable seat. I put the Suntour suspension seat post on the back, along with a Blue Wind comfort seat. So I got Suntour on the front, Suntour on the back. Makes this ride so comfortable. What else we got going on here? Oh yes, we have the brake lights. Let's turn the bike on. I'll show you. Because it has brake lights and it has turn signals. So let's see if I can get it from here. Here's the brake light and turn signal. That makes it really nice. And up front here, we have this nice big headlight. Plastic fenders. The battery is underneath here. You can charge it on the bike or you can charge it off the bike. But if you want to charge it on the bike, which I recommend, the charging port is right here. But if you want to take it off, the key slot is right here and it drops down. And it does have these bosses here for adding a water bottle holder or a lock. That's always nice. Now the handlebars. See how, I'll do a top view. See how swept back they are? That's just a little too much swept back for me. But the fit and finish on this bike is really nice. I mean, just look at it. This is the Glacier White. It comes in other colors too. I think a blue. But it is overall just a really thought out, well-designed bike. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you was the adjustable stem. No tools needed. I'm not going to do it right here, but if you see this, I can push that up, push this lever up, and then you can adjust this the way you want. You can also adjust the angle of the handlebars. But I'm not going to do that right now because I haven't adjusted the way I like it. But that's such a nice option. I saw that on the Expedition 2. And it was really nice to be able to make adjustments on the fly without having to drag tools out with you to do it. But what else we got going on here? It's just an overall nice bike. I can't complain. I haven't been able to complain really about any Lectric's bikes. I think the last complaint I had was on the XP4's front suspension. It just seemed too weak. But this, if they can put those Suntours on the next XP, maybe the XP5, I think you're going to have a 100% winner right there. All right, let's get back on the trail, do some more riding. Another thing I like about this display, you just push the power button, it gives you different screens to look at. You got one screen that tells you what your cadence is, your trip time, trip distance, odometer. Now it looks like every time you turn this off, the trip starts over from zero again. So if we go to the next screen, we've got input power, motor power, amps, and voltage. And then we have the regular screen that just shows you a big speedometer, your power level, and your battery. But I'm telling you, I think Lectric has knocked it out of the park once again with this bike. Like I said, the only upgrade I'm going to do to it is put some handlebars on it that are swept back, but not as swept back. But that is just personal preference. You may like it just the way it is. And of course, the suspension seat post and the comfort seat I put on. But those are all, personal items that I like. But I would suggest if you get this bike, you try it out in all stock mode first before you just go out and buy a bunch of extra accessories because some guy on YouTube said, you know what I mean? But yeah, this is just like the perfect weekend rider or commuter. I mean, it is a commuter bike. That's what your intention is to get this, is to use this to ride to work. I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised. And again, what I like about being able to ride a bike where you're just in an upright, relaxed position, it gives you a chance to just look around and see your surroundings instead of focusing 100% on the trail in front of you. You're not hunched down like this. Back's hurting after a while. Back end is hurting after a while. Making it just a not so pleasant ride. I especially like how quiet this bike is. The only real rattle I'm getting is I have that pannier bag on the back, and the things inside of it are bouncing up and down every time I hit a bump. But everything else on the bike seems to be really tight and not sounding like a bucket of bolts when you hit a bump, like some bikes. Now, I've seen it. It's going to be back to the handlebars again. I've seen it. Some other reviews are already doing it. And it makes me feel like I want to do it. It's just I don't know if you can see with this, but the angle of my wrists. They're like, I take a hand off and you can see how bent sideways my wrist is just to get that angle. It makes you want to do this because that's a more natural position for your hands. And that's about the angle of bars I want. And I have seen other reviewers, I've watched them reviewing this bike. And I don't know if they realized they were doing it, but they were doing this. So again, Lectric, that's might be something you want to change a little. Or offer a different set of handlebars. Let's do a little gravel riding here. All right, let's see how it handles some of this gravel. Let's try and hit a few bigger bumps on the front end. If I can find some. Here's a little hole coming up. Let's hit it at an angle. Ruts. Love it. Smooth rider. Now these are street tires, so you want to take it easy on gravelly stuff like this. You go into a turn just a little too sharp and it's going to wash out. But we'll come around the turn here and get back onto the paved trail. But if you get this bike and there is some dirt road you got to travel, I think you're going to be fine. Now, another thing I forgot to mention back there when I was doing the overview of the bike is that Lectric puts slime tire sealant in all their bikes. So when you get your bike, you've already got tire sealant in there. You don't have to go out and buy some slime or some flat out and put it in yourself. It's already in there. So it's just another thing Lectric does to try and give you better quality in their bikes. All right, I think I am just about at the turnaround point for this first initial ride. Actually, I'm going to turn around right here. Yeah, look at that. Can turn around easy too. But now I've got the bike pointed towards home. So you know what that means. It means you have a great day, great ride, great week, and I will see you on the next ride in the next video. Bye.